You know, history records the constant process of changing the world. And in the last century, what the world thought of as impossible has repeatedly become reality and a way of life. And more times than not, it's been taken for granted. In my lifetime, I've seen the world change dramatically. In the past 5 years, there's been more world-changing advances created than there were in the last 1,000 years before that. You know, think about the last century. Edison and the electric light bulb lighting the world and then giving rise to electric power generation everywhere. To an affordable automobile in every household, giving rise to roads and gas stations. The telegraph, to telephones, to cell phones, to smartphones in every hand. Computers more powerful than mainframes in every house. Global connection in real time over the internet and web. And all the knowledge in the world at our fingertips with Google. And everyone being connected through social media and more powerful than traditional TV and news. And with online shopping disrupting and replacing brick and mortar. At the time of conception and birth, they all seem like science fiction and from outer space. You know, my motto has always been dream and think big, as you'll never be bigger than your thoughts and dreams. And I've always been a dreamer and a visionary with forward-looking thinking that is often before its time and way out there. I see what is possible when others see it as impossible. And my thinking in life mission really reflects the words of George Bernard Shaw. There are those that look at things the way they are and ask why. And I dream of things that never were and ask why not. Now, whether it be reinventing direct sales with binary marketing and the MPCP, or the steps along the way in its evolution, such as requirements, BV and IBV, the GMTSS, people thought I was crazy. I was viewed as way out there. You know, most UFOs and the world think that I am crazy. Or maybe I'm from outer space. At least that's what they think at first. And it's not until it's done and realized as a way of life do they accept it as great. The response I get is, oh, here he goes again. He's lost his mind and has gone out into orbit. Come on, down to earth, JR. You know, it's really the way one thinks that is truly space age or from outer space. You see, we're what some would call a disruptor. Now, a disruptor is a company or a person that changes the traditional way an industry operates, especially in a very effective and better way. Certainly, that was the case when we created the binary system and the MPCP, creating a new paradigm never possible before. Its power and the benefits of the revolutionary tracking system have yet to be fully recognized or utilized. And now the shopping annuity is a culmination of that, and the concept allows us and average people to create our own economy. You know, when I was growing up, there was a cliche often used that you have about as much chance of doing that as putting a man on the moon. You know, the world has always been fascinated with space, and it stretched the imagination. As unreasonable as it was, the cliche reflected it that that's from outer space. Yet it was done giving way to a whole new world. You know, NASA scientists in the process of going to the moon pioneered more than 6,300 technologies during their bid to understand space that are now routinely used in day-to-day life. A few of which include integrated circuitry and the computer microchip and high-resolution digital satellite TV, the CAT scanner, and the joystick. It's more interesting that the real benefits of these accomplishments were not realized by the generation which it occurred, but by the next generation and those to come. Now, I recognize that the same may be true for the shopping annuity, as the next generation will reap the benefits as it becomes a way of life, and they leverage the possibilities of being able to create their own economy and sub-economies. You know, in 1984, I was enamored by envisioning and testing computerized marketing before the internet, and with the thought in mind that there was a better way. And people laughed at me. They thought I was crazy. The notion that people hate to be sold but love to buy was undeniable, and a technology allowing for that would be a paradigm-shifting and world-changing event. If it were not plausible, it would be passed off as frivolous fantasy. But the concept of digital aggregation screamed that it was logical and possible, like going to the moon. To me, it was simple. If you knew what everybody wanted to buy, you could identify the commonalities and find or make the product, add value to it at a better price, eliminate inventory, advertising, logistics, and provide it to each individual that wanted it, while treating each individual differently, where they could buy whatever they wanted differently as well. 3 decades have passed, and the technologies and systems are in my hands to make that a reality today. The genesis of Market America is a simple thought that we became possessed by, and that which transforms into possible world-changing concepts. There were many reasons motivating the goal of going to outer space and to the moon for America and President Kennedy that are unimportant in hindsight, but it was not solely to go to the moon for the sake of it. On May 25th, 1961, President John F. Kennedy came from outer space and, at the risk of unparalleled global embarrassment, proclaimed in his speech before a joint session of Congress that in this decade we will put a man on the moon. Simply preposterous and crazy. But it was not without reason and logic. He consulted with and hired the greatest scientist of the time, Wernher von Braun, who he asked if it was possible to put a man on the moon and what it would take to do it. His answer was yes, it was possible, and 5 words as to what it took: the will to do it. Our thinking and model are indeed revolutionary and out there in outer space. But it's an idea whose time has come, and we are bringing from outer space to Earth to change the world. The next generation will make it a way of life, and again will probably be taken for granted. The residual income from spending and shopping for average people will be a way of life and our legacy as we create our own economies and change the world. We are bringing it from outer space to Earth right now. The shopping annuity has landed.